In 1785, a shadow emerged onto the streets of Königsberg every day at exactly 3:30 p.m. It was a frail professor on his daily walk, moving with such mechanical consistency that the local townspeople set their pocket watches by his footsteps. This was a life defined by physical boundaries. He never saw the ocean, never touched a mountain, and never married. His entire world was contained within the four walls of his city. But inside this rigid routine, Kant was developing a line of thought that would challenge the existence of God and the nature of the universe, ideas that still underpin our modern understanding of science and law. Kant's childhood was shaped by poverty and a strict pietist mother. She frequently took him to graveyards, not to mourn, but to force him to confront the inevitability of death and the weight of moral duty. He grew up in a body that seemed destined for failure. Standing barely 5 feet tall, with a sunken chest, he was trapped in a frame prone to constant illness. He managed his health through a strict, self-imposed regime. His servant, Lampe, was under orders to pull him from bed at 4:55 a.m., regardless of Kant's protests. He breathed only through his nose and forbid himself from sweating indoors, believing that any lapse in control over his body would lead to his collapse. Kant believed that human freedom meant obeying laws we set for ourselves, rather than being slaves to our impulses. This discipline served as his first experiment in autonomy. He proved he could be a dictator over his own physical needs to clear a path for his mind. By middle age, Kant was a respected figure in the city, known for hosting dinner parties where the seating and the conversation were as orderly as his walk. Everything changed when he encountered the writings of David Hume. Hume proposed that cause and effect is not a law of the universe, but a mental habit. He argued that just because one event follows another, we have no logical proof that the first actually caused the second. This realization threatened the entire foundation of science. If cause and effect was a mere illusion of the mind, then the laws of physics were no more reliable than a dream. Kant immediately stopped publishing. He fell into an 11-year silence, retreating from public life to solve the crisis Hume had created. He spent hours staring at a church tower through his window, questioning if the distance he saw and the time passing as he watched were real properties of the world. He was attempting to strip away his own senses to find the underlying structure of consciousness. He wanted to know if the human mind was seeing the world as it was, or if the mind was the thing creating the world's order. In 1781, he published The Critique of Pure Reason. His conclusion shifted the center of the universe. He claimed that we do not see reality as it is. Kant called the true universe the Noumena. It is a realm of raw, unformatted data that exists outside of us. We can never observe this world directly because our senses cannot process it without a filter. What we perceive is the phenomena, the world after our brain has organized that raw data into a form we can understand. Space and time are not things that exist out there in the cosmos. They are part of our mind's operating system. Like a lens we are born wearing, our brain projects space and time onto everything we see. He applied this to cause and effect as well. It isn't a physical law found in the world. It's a tool our brain uses to organize information into a sequence we can follow. Kant argued that the human mind dictates the laws of the universe to the universe itself. We are trapped in a mental interface we can never remove. This raised a new problem. If our logic is limited and we cannot prove the existence of God or objective truth, how can we decide what is right and wrong? Kant argued that morality cannot be based on feelings like pity or love, which fluctuate with our mood. For an action to be truly moral, it must be performed out of duty, even when we have no desire to do it. He developed the categorical imperative. You should only act on a rule that you would want to become a universal law for everyone. This led to his famous stance on lying. If you lie to a murderer to save a friend, you break the universal requirement for truth, damaging the trust that holds society together. By following this duty and treating every person as an individual with their own value, rather than a tool to be used, we create a stable moral world. In a cruel irony, the man who spent his life mapping the limits of human reason eventually lost his own to dementia. When his longtime servant, Lampy, was dismissed, Kant found he could not stop the habit of thinking about him. He had to write a note on his chalkboard to remind himself of a simple goal. The name of Lampy must now be totally forgotten. He died in 1804. His tombstone carries the two things he claimed filled him with awe: the starry heavens above me and the moral law within me. Kant's work shows that we are not just observers in a random universe. We are the architects of the world we see, and he challenged us to have the courage to use our own reason to navigate it.